County. So on behalf of our county executive, Jim Cruz, I'd like to welcome the out-of-town guests here that are joining us for this celebration. This is such a great day. I mean, I've just been looking forward to this. I knew about this, well, when did we find out? A few weeks ago?
Yeah.
But it's been in the works for months. And I called the sheriff's wife and I said, reserve these dates in July. We put the sheriff in for the DARE Law Enforcement Executive of the Year, the National DARE Law Enforcement Executive of the Year. I said, there's a lot of competition, so just hold those dates. She said, that's great. It's our 20-year anniversary. It'd be great to go out to a conference and see this presentation, and if they would win it. So I said, but don't hold your breath. We got the.
She's been holding it ever since.
So we got the good news, and it's just so exciting because 2020 has been off to a rough start. We all agree with that. But when we hear some good news, it makes us stop for a minute and think and appreciate some good news. It makes us forget about the adversity we've all been going through over the past 6 months or so, and today we have some awesome news. And we're putting all this adversity behind us right now, and we're going to focus on our sheriff, who has meant a lot to the DARE community in Kenosha. Obviously, if you don't know, he was our first DARE officer, the very, very first one. And so, probably if it wasn't for him, I don't even know if we'd still have DARE, because he got the ball rolling. It became so popular in Kenosha, and we ended up getting more DARE officers as we went along the way. And as a sheriff, DARE only happens with their support. And so we are grateful that Sheriff Beth, all these years, has made DARE a priority. And I can count on one hand, in the 19 years that I've been teaching DARE, how many DARE graduations he's missed. It's a priority. He will cancel other appointments to make sure he's at a DARE graduation because kids come first. The future comes first in his eyes. And when we got the news that he got this award and this recognition, with all due respect to other chiefs and sheriffs around the country, I can't think of anyone that would be more deserving for this award. So with that said, I'd like to introduce a representative from DARE America. He's a Wisconsin State DARE coordinator, Mr. Jeff Smith, who was my DARE teacher when I went through DARE officer training. So let's give him a round of applause.
Great. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
As you said, my name is Jeff Smith. I'm the DARE coordinator here for the state of Wisconsin. I have been involved with the DARE program going on 31 years. So kind of us old-timers in the room have seen its ups and downs, and it all stems from leadership. And to have the type of leaders in Wisconsin who are willing to face the storm of adversity, of negative press, of budget cuts, and keep something they believe in alive tells you a lot about the character of that person. And, you know, back when the sheriff was going to run for sheriff, going from DARE officer to running for sheriff, one of the things that I remember at the time, and I'm going to be honest with my thoughts, is that he said, the DARE program will always be with the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department as long as I am sheriff, if elected. And I thought to myself, oh Lord, that's a death wish. I mean, how many naysayers are there going to be out there? Or say, yeah, okay, it's just another promise from a politician. Well, the thing is, the sheriff isn't a politician. You know, he's a member of this county, of this community, and it was something that he believed in. And when you believe in something, you become passionate about something, nothing can stand in its way. And as budgets started to get cut, Sheriff had to get innovative, because I think part of what he had said originally was that I will pay for this program to continue out of my own pocket. And he managed to organize and raise the golf outings that you all know about to help fund that in this county, to keep it going. And it not only creates, you know, a community of people who support what DARE is about, it's a good time to get out. And when you do it in the name of DARE, it speaks wonders. The other thing that has amazed me, even though the sheriff is no longer in the classroom, was the fact that he still found it important to attend either the state or the international DARE conferences. Not because it was going to be a vacation time away from the office, which may have been part of it, but is that he had told me, he says, is that how can I defend this program if I don't understand what the latest happenings are within DARE? And I thought, okay, once again, that speaks to this man's character. So back about a year ago, when Ray contacted me and he said, hey, I got this wild idea. He says, you know, I see these people who get this law enforcement executive award from DARE International, DARE America. And he says, what do you think about having Sheriff Beth nominated? I said, hey, let's do it. And he said, well, I'm going to look for some guidance. And then, you know, a lot of time I'll get inquiries like that, and then they just kind of fall by the wayside. Well, I followed up about January, and Ray was once again, he said, okay, what are we going to do to make this happen? So I said, okay, here are the latest guidelines, because every year I think they change the guidelines, just to change the guidelines, but got to work. And we are seeing the fruits of that today. The board of directors of DARE America, who chooses these positions, have got some pretty, notable people on them. You've got the former head of the executive director of the DEA, who is the president of this board. You have a number of social movers and shakers, along with attorneys and cops, and it's just an amazing board. And for all of the applications that they got, in talking to the people back at the main office, they were saying that the rest were all kind of in here, yeah, really kind of good, really kind of neat. And then there was this one packet that was head and shoulders above everybody else. And, you know, that brought a smile to my face, and shows once again what Wisconsin is all about. In the era of all the awards that DARE America gives every year, Wisconsin has had the honor of, in the past, having a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. We have had 4 what we call youth advocates, or young kids who advise DARE America on trends and things to keep their curriculums updated. We've had 4 of them that have won $20,000 scholarships because of their work in the field. We have had the International DARE Officer of the Years come from Wisconsin. And the only one that had been missing up until this point was this law enforcement executive. And when we finally got the notification, and it was kind of, I was like talking with 3 different people at the same time, between Ray and the people out in LA and on the East Coast, and you know, I was like, oh, good, they made the right choice, because you never know why people choose things for reasons, but it was apparent here. But in that, and part of this confusion of the whole COVID-19 thing, Dave was supposed to be going down to Cancun to receive this award, okay, which was going to be all expense paid, all this good kind of stuff, and then, you know, this COVID thing comes along and it's like, hey, canceled. So he will receive his award next year at the international conference, which they're still trying jostling on a spot, which will either be down in Orlando or in Nashville, Tennessee. But we thought that this couldn't wait. You know, I mean, you've got to do it now while we can. And he will receive a fancy crystal award, which they didn't want to give up for this year, but so we did the next best thing. And we have a certificate for that. So it's going to be our pleasure, Sheriff. You might as well come up and let's...
Me now? Let's see. First of all, I had no clue that everyone was coming today. Up until about, I'm supposed to turn this on probably. There we go. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I'm in my garage doing something with my son, working on a car. I think I was putting a radio in, and all of a sudden Ray shows up walking past the garage door and going, what the heck? Ray doesn't usually stop at my house. And then a few seconds later, I see Captain Miller walking past and going, uh-oh, this isn't good. I'm either in really big trouble with, and they're alerting me, or something bad has happened at the department, and it wasn't either. And as they were telling me the story of what was happening, I'm still doing like this out-of-body experience even right now. I'm listening to Jeff talk and Ray talk. It's like, who are you guys talking about? It's hard to believe you guys are picking me, and the state and the nation is picking me. And for those like the county executive and Ray, and to do this, and Brian Stile did it, our representative put it in a letter, and I don't even know who all put in a letter because they haven't showed me any of this yet. So I don't even know what they said. I don't even know what stories they made up to propel me to this level. But to have your staff think enough of you to go through all this work, to do everything they did to get me to this point, pretty big deal. So, to be honored like this, it still doesn't, I suppose if I was in Cancun, it'd feel differently at this moment. And just so you know, my wife was very excited when she heard she was going to Cancun. I didn't quite have it. But it's something. Jeff and I, we both started in '89, I think it was, right? And having 30 years doing something that is so important, especially at a time like this. If you really think what's going on in this country right now, it's police, law enforcement, public relations. That's what the whole thing's about. The DARE program is one of the connections that keeps law enforcement and children and the community together. If you really look at what's happened across this nation and what's happened in Kenosha, we're so much better off than what's happened in other parts of this country. We're right between Milwaukee and Chicago. They have riots day after day for weeks. We had one night. We had protests. Those protests, I was invited to come and be part of them. And it wasn't a protest. The protest that I went to in the park just down a block away, they didn't bash police. They didn't bash law enforcement. They wanted everybody to work together. And for 30 years, we've been doing that with the DARE program here. So, yeah. For those who don't know, if it wasn't for my mother, Sandy Beth, she's right there. She kind of the, I guess a lot of values I have came from mom and dad, and mom's right there. Then you've got my wife, who's put up with me for, it's our 20-year anniversary. Sharon. And it has been, at the election a couple years ago, I bought her a gift. And we're going through 6 elections. For those of you who've never gone through an election before, it's interesting. It's exciting. When you win, it's really exciting. But it wears on you. It tears you down. You lose weight. It's a great diet plan. To have a spouse who goes with you for 6 different elections, 6 years of your life, 6 years of being scrutinized and being criticized and being praised and everything in between, couldn't ask for a better wife than Sharon. And then you've got Kenna, my middle one. Nathan's not here, he's the oldest one, he's 32, he's working today. And he gave me a grandson in November, little Emmett. And then you've got Kenna, she's 18 years old. She's an adult now, we haven't quite kicked her out of the house and she hasn't left, she's still here. And thank God, because last night, for those who live on a farm or work on a farm, which we have a horse farm, we unloaded about 800 bales of hay and 4 wagons. Kenna and Evan. Evan's the youngest one. He's 16. He's a central. He's going to be a junior now. Kenna's moving on to UW lacrosse. Those 2 were absolute beasts in the hayloft. And if you really think about how many tons of hay they moved last night, I'm surprised they can even walk today. Look at them both, how fit they are, no body fat. But I couldn't ask for better kids. Ray trying to sneak up here. Is my time?
No.
Is the music started? He's gonna come up like he helps DARE students when they can't talk. He puts his hand on their shoulder. No, I'll be okay. But it really is. I'm sitting there next to Jim, and as I'm listening to this, and people talking, going, who are they really talking about? It's you don't think of yourself as it's what you do, and I've got the command staff, I've got a department that's absolutely to die for. Do we make mistakes once in a while? Yeah, we do. But they're few and far between. And they're fantastic people. During this whole last few months, we've had meetings almost daily, or it turned out to like every 2 days, about COVID-19 and the protests and things like that. We've had outside people listening in and being part of our conversations, and they tell me afterwards, we cannot believe how organized, how smart, how sharp, how you guys have it together, how you guys really have it together. This is almost a 400-person department, and the staff that we have is so professional. They're so caring about the community, and even today, Ray cared for me as he told Nancy how old I was. And it's kind of, if you go to our DARE graduations, Ray, it's always a little battle and how old I am, and he was the first DARE officer and things like that. But this DARE program would not be what it is today without, let's see, one of our deputies right there, Rude, and Deputy Rowe. These 2, especially Deputy Rowe, he's been doing it for 19 years. I did it for 10 years. I roughly calculate I was able to teach the elementary program, the middle school program, and the high school program. I taught all 3. I was the only one ever to do that part. I put roughly about 10,000 students through the DARE program. And when you go to the fair, when you go to the different functions, and you ask, either Ray or I will ask, who here graduated from the DARE program? And you see them raise their hand. because their kids are now in it. And who said, who is Sheriff Beth? Who is it? Their student. And he raised their hand. Pretty cool. And I'm waiting for them to have, okay, who's a grandparent who had Sheriff Beth? We haven't reached that point yet, but it's getting closer. And it is, Deputy Rowe just holds it all together, along with some help from Lieutenant Klinghammer and Dave Wright and some other people that kind of keep it all going. But the group that we have for public relations for this department are just to die for. And they're the ones that actually should have the credit for making it all part of this. This award, it has my name on it, but it really is all the group of people that work together to do this. And for my family that puts up with everything that I have to do. So thank you for everyone.
If we could take this hang in your office. So
Okay, I'll do that.
we put, I gotta give the credit to Dustin Beth. He is phenomenal when it comes to putting slideshows and videos together. So part of it is in black and white, you'll have to excuse. So this is the program that Dustin Beth put together on behalf of Sheriff Beth. So we're gonna play it for now.
You still have the stone ones and the
You can't find it.
yeah, the Ten Commandments. Size 26-inch waist.
Whole semester for me, and that was pretty difficult, but it's true. But at least my wife would say that, she's here also. A few special people we have here today: Michael Reese from Wilmot Mountain, we have Sheriff Harold Field, we have Lieutenant Brian Beth, and Jenny Hall over there from Wilmot High School. She was, for those of you who haven't don't know who Jenny Hall is, 1 week in here we had the Senior Role Model Week, and Jenny and Greg Flood was not able to attend us this time. We're giving her a talk for sixth graders.
Just so you know, that tractor pull that was at the county fair, he got beat out by a 7-year-old.
She was tough.
And I noticed that Dustin Beth happened to sneak in a picture of himself when I was his dare officer. Well played, well played. I can't think of anybody else more deserving than our sheriff. I know there was a lot of applicants from across the country that departments submitted their sheriff or chief. And we need to put all this 2020 stuff behind us for a minute and give one more round of applause to Sheriff David Beck. So next year when he actually receives his plaque, it'll be in front of the International DARE Convention at whatever city we're going to have it next year. And I've been to several of those. It's amazing. DARE officers from around the world. DARE is taught in 56 countries around the world. And we've got, not all of us, can you imagine, but several people from around the world attend this conference. And next year they're going to actually see Sheriff Beth receive this award. So that'll be even another proud moment for all of us. So before we end, I know our county executive, Jim Cruiser, wanted to come up and say a few words, so let's give him a round of applause. Come on up.
Well, Jeff, you haven't heard this, but most people have here. Every day, great things happen in Kenosha County. Today, you getting this is the best thing happening in Kenosha County. Congratulations. Nick. On behalf of everybody in our community, we're proud of you because you're the real deal. You're the DARE officer, went on to become sheriff. Today is actually the 12th year, March the 12th year we work together. Your ethics and values of public responsibility are very high. Your core values have never wavered, you know, from Frank Neighborhood to DARE, and always taking care of those thousands and thousands of kids with those positive impacts every day that you and I have a lot in common in different ways with the Boys and Girls Club, which you've always been very supportive of about the next generation to make them better human beings. That just doesn't happen. Your name and your word has always been good, and I will tell you, I just want to say thank you from all of Kenosha County and all the Board of Supervisors and myself personally as a colleague and now a friend, good friend. What you've done and the time you've taken away from your family, it's a great expense when you're an elected official. I can tell you, it takes time, it creates a little stress, but at the end of the day, your giving to the rest of the community has paid dividends for our county, making it better and people to stay off drugs, be aware of drugs. The amount of people who warn other people not to be on drugs. And I do agree with you on one significant point. You chose your parents wisely. Thank you, Dave.
I thought it would be nice if the sheriff and his family can come up in front of the picture here. If it's a good photo op, so if you guys want to come on up and do a quick picture here, do that. Anybody else want to snap some pictures? In the meantime, Michelle made some cookies and donuts and coffee back there. Help yourself. But we sure appreciate everybody taking the time to be here today. And Sheriff Nancy and her Sergeant Correndo, they drove 5 hours to get here today just to be part of this. I'm a good friend of Sheriff Nancy. We went to DARE officer training together in 2001, right when 9/11 was happening. So we know exactly where we were. I mean, I want to turn this way. I think it'll be better.
It's not working.
Is that better for pictures?
Okay, now we really do have to redo the first one. I need my Uncle Brian, actually the lieutenant back then, that Brian.
No. A picture with you. You have that bear bag still? You can have it again. That was a grand prize back in the day.
It was, I know it.
Come on in.
He didn't wear his
I feel like it's a wedding.
I have specific instructions for him not to wear that.
And just so you know, I wasn't the first one that back then Sheriff Alan Kale wanted to have as the dare officer. I was actually the second choice. But the board itself actually somehow overruled him and chose me. So it's certainly changed my life. I couldn't think of a better place, or 10 years of my life than being part of the DARE program, another 20 after that. So it's been good.